Hey, what's up? I'm back again. Well, back with another video already. And first of all, I'd like to say that I got this beautiful pink ring. So now I'll have something to wear in October and whenever I need to wear pink. So just never can have enough jewelry. Never feel like I have enough jewelry. And it's hard to believe that it's already been a year since I made the one and only video I've ever made like this with the sun coming at me from that angle. But I figure, why not just use the sunlight rather than try to block it out? Well, what I would like to talk about in this video, I'm not sure, what's the best way to make this video, but not exactly sure what angle to get at. But what I'd like to talk about in this video, okay, I'm gonna have some show and tell in this video, and it's gonna be some dolls, as you can imagine. But I would like to talk about, I want to title it Boys and Dresses, and why boys should never, ever be allowed to wear dresses or explore wearing dresses as boys, nor should they be allowed to call themselves girls because they like dresses, okay? I am, as I've stated before, I am completely dead set against males of any age wearing dresses, unless it's some sort of a diaper shirt or a nightgown over a diaper. I am against males wearing dresses, and there's a very simple reason. Okay, sure, there's Deuteronomy 22.5, which a lot of people will interpret differently, and some people believe is every bit as much about women not wearing pants as it is about men not wearing dresses. They'll try to say that men wore something that looked like a dress in those days, which I find ridiculous. But what I'd like to talk about is something, why it is disturbing for males to wear dresses, particularly once they're potty trained and out of diapers. If I had to draw the line somewhere, I'd say that toilet training is, if they're going to wear anything resembling a dress in any way, shape, or form, it should be done before they're toilet trained, which ideally is the first 3 years of life for boys, and of course 2.5 for girls. So, when they're a baby is about the only time that I don't find it disturbing for a male to wear something that is basically a dress, although they should never be dressed in an effeminate way, okay? And the reason why it is disturbing for males to wear dresses, okay, it's not because of what the Bible says. It's not because of anyone's religious convictions. It's because pants and shorts, by extension shorts, I guess, they're just short pants. Pants are for people whose nakedness or whose private parts, the most private parts of their body, are concentrated on their lower half, basically. The most private part of the male body is the lower half, okay? And to an extent, it's like that for the female. Our privates, we have privates down there, but they don't extend as far down, to put it bluntly, okay? We don't have large you-know-whats hanging down there, okay? And so because a man has a you-know-what hanging on his thigh in many cases, like you-know-who in World War II, it was plainly obvious through his uniform. Because we don't have a large organ hanging on our thigh, we get to wear dresses, and some people would try to say that women should only wear dresses. The way I feel is that it's simply the ideal. I don't feel like women absolutely have to wear dresses or they can't wear pants. regardless of what Pastor Anderson wants to say, who now has a dozen kids, so I don't respect anything he says. He's basically destroyed his wife's body with a 12th child named Oliver. So, and he lucked out by one day in that Oliver wasn't born in June, like me, okay? But I think it is more important for men to wear pants than it is for women to wear dresses and skirts at all times because of what I just said. Men have an organ that needs to be hidden from view, okay? And to allow little boys to wear dresses is very disturbing and wrong, and no one should do it. I'm all for kids having their own individuality and exploring things, but boys in dresses is not one of them, okay? Boys should not be allowed to explore dresses. Sure, a girl will have more options, but considering that they get male privilege, I think that's a pretty fair trade. But boys should never, ever, ever, ever be encouraged to wear dresses or similar garments, because to me it is disgusting, okay? Because they are going to have large genitals, at least by the time they're an adult, between their legs that need to be hidden in a pair of pants, okay? When a girl wears a dress, her panties are often the only thing between her bottom and the world, okay? And considering that we don't have such genitals, we can get away with that. You know what I'm saying? As long as some peeping Tom doesn't look up our dress, we can get by with that. We don't need the added protection. We have panties, and I guess that's enough. But with boys, they're going to have a big you-know-what, and they don't need to be wearing dresses. And I find it very disturbing. I consider it sexual abuse to put a little boy in a dress or to allow him to wear one, or for an adult man to wear a dress in front of children, okay? That's just totally wrong. Drag queen story hour is wrong. And I don't care if it's hypocritical of me as a butch woman, so to speak, who wears pants. There is a reason. Because male nakedness or private are concentrated below the waist, whereas females, when we get older, our most private areas are above the waist, okay? And yes, we need to cover our bottom, but because, a boy's genitals must be covered at all times, and he can go without a shirt, we are the other way around, okay? When we get older, we have breasts, and we have to cover those. So basically, the difference between pants and dresses is that, pants emphasize that the most private part of you is below the waist, whereas dresses emphasize that the most private part of you is above the waist, You can't take off your shirt, just like you wouldn't take off your dress, okay? And I know I've spent a long time, leading into the show and tell, because I just wanted to talk about that. But one thing I'd like to talk about is a very disturbing reason that only recently occurred to me as to why little boy dolls are so rare, okay? They're the rarest type of doll, which my newest Chelsea boy came in, and people just don't realize how valuable this is. Little boy dolls go for way more than girl dolls, and that's because they're so rare, okay? And what I'd like to talk about is the very disturbing reason why there are so few boy dolls the same size of little girls, okay? And it also has a lot to do with why Barbie's proportions are so unrealistically unattainable, okay? It isn't because they want girls to starve themselves to death trying to look like her. No, okay? The reason, and it's a very disturbing thing as to why most moms would rather their daughters not have little boy dolls, okay? Like this cute little boy and this one. They would rather their daughters not have a boy doll because it's something very disturbing that a child might try to do. if they had a boy and girl doll the same size. And I'd like to talk about how when they introduced these little boy dolls, okay, I'm one of the people that wrote and asked them why there was no male version of Chelsea. Okay, and they introduced one very soon after, so I wonder if I gave them the idea. But before they had boy dolls, way back, I want to say 2010 through 2013 or something like that, when there were no boy Chelseas, they had little girls, and they used to have removable clothing. Okay? It used to be more common to see a Chelsea doll whose dress could be removed. Well, interestingly enough, right before they introduced the little boy dolls, who I think are named Darren, they introduced Chelsea dolls with clothing that you couldn't remove, okay? Painted on bathing suits with a skirt. And the clothing started to be part of her body, unlike the boy. And while there's nothing wrong with that, they should have done that 30 years ago. I mean, I don't have any problem with a doll that can't go naked. Is a very interesting and disturbing reason why that was done. And it has only recently occurred to me, and why Barbie and Ken are such caricatures of men and women. And it's because of the fact that moms do not want their daughters to have a boy doll that can fit in the clothing of a girl doll, okay? Because if you could remove her dress as an outfit, like you can with this one, you could put that dress on a little boy, which is a very disturbing thing to do. It is not something I like to see, and it is not something most moms like to see. Okay? Well, they can alleviate the cross-dressing problem between Barbie and Ken by simply making their bodies so different that he wouldn't fit in Barbie's little dresses, And that's one of the reasons why they haven't made more realistic Barbie dolls in the past, because if Barbie was more realistic and Ken had a smaller build, well, guess what? He could probably fit in some of her dresses. And so because of that, little boy dolls are extremely rare, and they get bad reviews, even if they're 1 out of 5 in a series. Moms are reluctant to let their daughters have boy dolls that can wear the same clothing as a girl doll. But they try to fix that problem in a very clever way with these dolls, okay? So because she cannot remove her dress, yet he can remove his outfit, that means it isn't the end of the world if Chelsea wants to try on his short set, okay? And he would be nude for a while or naked. But what no one wants to see, and I certainly don't, is for her to take off her dress and put it on him, okay? That is something that no parent wants to see. No one should ever want to see. It's a very disturbing sight to think of a little boy wearing a girl's dress, okay? And I find it very disturbing, and I think that any parent who does that to their son, or who allows him to think that's okay, is wrong, and that they're abusing their child, okay? Because it's just not right, Boys should not be allowed to wear dresses. I mean, no, it isn't ideal for a girl to wear pants, but it is not the end of the world, contrary to what Pastor Anderson believes. A woman wearing pants is not as big of a problem, okay? Because she's just basically covering up too much, and that's not a big deal. So what? Maybe it's cold, okay? So covering your genitals when you don't necessarily need that much protection, so to speak, isn't that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? I mean, sure, it might not be necessary for women to wear pants, but it isn't a big deal, okay, to cover genitals that you don't have. Or, I mean, you have them, but they don't have that need to be covered that male genitals do, okay? So I don't see the problem with it. But what is a problem is for males to uncover themselves and wear clothing that is only acceptable for females. That's where the problem is. And I'm glad they put a fix with these Chelsea dolls to where the boys cannot wear the dresses.